Yes, welcome back to the 67 Hail Hail channel on YouTube with me, Hamish Carton. Now, on the channel, we are already building ahead to next season. What are we now? Less than 4 weeks away from the big start. Now we know that our Scottish Premiership campaign will start with a home game against Hamilton Accies. It's on the Sunday of the first weekend, a 4:30 kick-off, a bit of a strange one at Celtic Park, but we now know the fixtures for the first 33 rounds of the season. That will stand between us and hopefully being very close to winning 10 in a row at that stage as we go into the split. Now next season, we know how big next season's going to be. We're going for that historic 10th title in a row, but beyond that as well, there's so many big questions. I mean, can we keep up our incredible domestic cup run that has seen us not lose a domestic cup match since the middle of 2016? Can we get back in the big time in the Champions League group stage, or will it be the Europa League? And even this summer, there's questions on transfers about who Neil Lennon will look to bring in to strengthen his first team squad, and can we hold on to some of our biggest players? Now, I like to think that we've covered a lot of this on the channel over the past 2 or 3 months. Just last week we touched on possible goalkeeping replacements for Fraser Forster, who looks set not to return to the club next year. If you've not yet checked out that video, go and have a look at that. But on today's video, we're going to look at players who are out of contract and could join Celtic for nothing this summer. Now, we'll do that in a wee second, but before that, just a wee message, our normal shout out, that if you've not yet managed to subscribe to the channel, we really would appreciate you doing that. I'm bowled over by the amount of subscriptions we've got in the last month or so, a time when football should really be in the back burner. I think we've got about 1,000 new subs in that time. So if you're one of the people who are watching this video and you've not yet managed to subscribe, then we would really appreciate if you would do that. Right, on to today's video, and we're going to go through 5 players, 3 of them playing in England, 2 in mainland Europe, and discuss how Celtic could get them for nothing this summer, whether the moves would make sense for both the player and the club. Now, I get that some of these may be a little bit unrealistic, but I'll try and give my opinion on how they could happen and why they could benefit both the player and Celtic. Now, not too many of you may have heard of this player, Nampalys Mendy. He's a 28-year-old French player who plays for Leicester City. Now, he's only featured 6 times for Brendan Rodgers' men in the Premier League this season. He was a big money signing for the Foxes. I think he cost around 12 or 13 million back in the summer of 2016. That was just a couple of weeks after they shocked the world to win the English Premier League. Claudio Ranieri brought Mendy in almost as a replacement for N'Golo Kante, and he plays the game very similar to Kante. He also gets real comparisons with Claude Makelele. Kante and Makelele, 2 of the greatest French water carriers over the past 2 decades or so, and Mendy plays the game that way. The closest likeness I could find at Celtic over the last 10, 15 years ago is probably Landry Nguemo. Now, I know Nguemo wasn't a massive hit at Celtic Park, but I think that Mendy could be. It hasn't worked out from at Leicester for whatever reason under subsequent managers to Ranieri, and he's effectively been bombed out under Brendan Rodgers. But we've badly needed a defensive midfielder at Celtic. There was obviously so much chat about Victor Wanyama possibly coming back in the January's transfer window. Don't expect anything to happen with Wanyama this summer, as he's now earning a good pay packet in the MLS. But a player like Mendy becoming available for virtually nothing at all as his contract's up. Trabzonspor have been linked with him, Udinese as well, and if that's the 2 teams, the kind of calibre of sides that are going after him, then surely we can throw our hat in the ring as well, with the added bonus that we could offer him hopefully Champions League football, but surely Europa League group stage football at a minimum. Now on to another 28-year-old, and if you happen to be familiar with any sort of Celtic transfer rumours over the past couple of transfer windows or so, chances are you will have heard of the name Omar Elabdellaoui, and I'm saying that very slowly because it's already taken me 3 or 4 takes to say that name. Anyway, he is currently playing with Olympiacos, but probably not for too much longer. He's out of contract this summer. He's a Norway international who plays at right back, and he was heavily linked with us and a number of other decent European clubs, including ones in England last summer. Now obviously last summer was a massive rebuilding one for ourselves as we aimed to replace the likes of Mikael Lustig at right back. We brought in no fewer than 4 right backs really, if you include Leo Connor. Moritz Bauer was one of them. He's certainly left the club now, so you could argue there's now a space at right back alongside Hatem El Hamed and Jeremy Frimpong as well. Now you may feel that having 3 right backs at the club would be too much, but if Elabdellaoui is available for free, and also if possibly El Hamed's seen as more of a right-sided defender in a back 3, which Neil Lennon obviously played last season, then there could perhaps be room for Elabdellaoui, who I'm wanting to avoid saying his name anymore. But he's available for free. He'll know Christopher Ayer and Mohamed El Yunusi from the international scene. He's a Norway regular, but more importantly, they'll know him. And if they don't know him, I'd be surprised if the Celtic recruitment department didn't know him, because there definitely did seem to be some sort of interest in him last summer. So could this one happen? Possibly. There's still a potential for him to stay in Greece with Olympiacos, but for now it looks like he'll be leaving. Whether Celtic's name will be in the hat or not remains to be seen. Now, I know this may seem very, very unrealistic given that he was a Liverpool regular not too long ago and also has lots and lots of caps for England, played at major competitions with them. But just hear me out. He's out of contract this summer. It's already been confirmed that he won't play again for Liverpool despite signing a temporary extension just to the end of the season that was obviously delayed due to coronavirus. Now that Liverpool have won the league, Jurgen Klopp says he won't play again so that he doesn't risk getting an injury that could jeopardise his move away from Anfield. He's likely to see his future in one of the bigger leagues in Europe, but we can offer the possibility of European football. If we were to get into the Champions League, he would surely be enticed by something like that, and also another opportunity to win more trophies and play in front of a big support. You wonder what kind of club Adam Lallana would find in England now he's leaving Liverpool. Maybe another big club would take a punt on him, but the chances of him featuring a lot for them would probably be pretty minimal. It's basically been the last 3 years for Liverpool where he's been a reserve player effectively. Yes, he's probably got between 15 and 20 appearances a season, but a lot of them have been off the bench. We could probably offer him a realistic chance to play football, although that would probably depend on what happens with Tom Rogic and Olivier Ntcham this summer. So it may well be a non-starter and you may laugh it out of town, but he is out of contract this summer. Getting him for free would mean we could possibly put more money into his wages, and if he fancied a chance to win more trophies and play in Europe, which he might not necessarily get at the next club he goes to, then Celtic could be a good destination for Lallana. Now, if you're to canvass the Celtic support for positions that we feel need a bit of improvement, chances are that left back would be pretty near the top of the list, if not right at the top. It's strange because we do have 2 left backs that we signed both for decent sized money last summer in Bolingoli and Greg Taylor, but neither is massively convinced us that they have what it takes to hold down that position for the coming years like their predecessor Kieran Tierney did. Obviously Johnny Hayes has left the club as well. So could Leighton Baines, who's now 35 and likely to leave Everton at the end of their Premier League season, be a good addition to the club? Now, my idea for getting Baines in is that he would cost nothing, obviously, and being near the end of his career, he could possibly offer a bit of advice and help to, I'm thinking of Greg Taylor in particular. They have similar kinds of games, and, Baines, strangely enough, has never won a trophy in his entire career at either Everton or Wigan or obviously at international level. So we could offer him an opportunity to do that. Would he be up for moving to Scotland? Well, he's not featured for Everton at all basically in the last couple of seasons. He's fallen second choice at left back behind Luca Dean, the former Barcelona player. So it would be interesting to see if the club would be interested in a move for a player who's near the twilight of his career. But as I say, I think the effects of getting a player like Baines in on the likes of Bolingoli and Greg Taylor couldn't be underestimated. Again, it's probably slightly unrealistic, but we always like to dream, and I'm sure he would offer something if we brought him in, and obviously would cost nothing as well. Now, chances are you probably won't have heard of this player, the Chinese international Wu Lei. He's set to get relegated with his current side, Espanyol, who are all but down in Spain. They're likely to finish bottom of La Liga as well. Now, Woolley has only scored 4 goals. He's primarily an attacker. He can play on the right, the left. He can also play up top as well. And while 4 goals may not be a brilliant tally, it is worth pointing out that that's been for the worst team in the Spanish top flight. Whenever I've seen him in action, including in a recent game against Real Madrid, he's looked quite a lively player. And, he's a regular for the Chinese international team and scores a lot of goals at international level as well. So there's clearly some sort of a player there. He's out of contract this summer and would possibly be interested in moving to a team who could offer him European football. But in terms of Celtic's need for a wide player who can play on the right, it's quite big because we're so reliant on James Forrest last season. It was clear that Marian Shved just wasn't up to it. I wouldn't expect that to change this season. I think you'll see Shved loaned out again or possibly even sold permanently. So our need for a player like Woolley is pretty big, I would argue. And if we could get him again for free, then it's worth taking a risk on him. His scoring record may not be the best, as I say, but that is for a struggling team and possibly the best league in Europe. I'm sure if he was to come to Scotland and have better service and play against weaker defences, he would flourish.